Space, the final frontier. Join us for a bold conversation. Our prime directive, to recap our favorite Star Trek shows, both new and old. To engage in debate about all things Trek. Prepare to energize with phasers set to stun.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to a new episode of Phasers Set to Stun, where we continue to show our love for everything Star Trek in this ongoing series from a Film by Podcast, which focuses on every sector of the expanding Star Trek universe by covering television, movies, animation, directors, merchandise, and much, much more. Plotting your course on this voyage is your core Trek crew. I'm Wayne Whited.
I'm David Burns.
And I'm Scott Hoffman.
And before we get started tonight and talk about the new episode, I want to bring up the latest news in the world of Star Trek for those listeners who haven't heard. Paramount Plus has renewed the series Strange New Worlds for a fourth season. We have I agree, yes. We have the third season coming up for us early next year, and we're excited to learn that more adventures with Captain Pike and the Enterprise is coming our way. But also announced was that the upcoming season for Star Trek Lower Decks is the fifth season, will be its last. We've really enjoyed watching and talking about this series as well, and we're sad to hear that it's ending.
Yeah, I would love to see so much more from Lower Decks. I really would.
I would too. I would too. But we're going to be in for a great year. I know it.
I'm sure.
And it's been a great ride so far. We're really looking forward to seeing what the Cerritos crew have in store for us later this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we are truly into the mission that is Star Trek Discovery Season 5, the series' final season. The first two episodes, which we covered in the last podcast, has us traveling from Starfleet headquarters to the deserts of Kumal, then to the burial planet Lyric, and now the mystery of the progenitor's secrets are beginning to unfold. But we still have quite a journey ahead of us until we get to that finish line.
I got to give you credit for getting through those planets, man.
Yeah, me too. Wow, that's impressive.
You got like the phonetic thing right up there ready for it.
I do. Today we are looking in on episode 3, titled Jinaal, written by Kyle Harrow and Lauren Wilkinson, and directed by Andy Armenjarian. So this is Black Alert, folks. There are spoilers ahead, and if you haven't seen this episode, please stop and beam yourself to the nearest television set to catch it on Paramount Plus, then come back and rejoin us for this discussion. All right, Scott, why don't you give us a short summary of the episode?
Jinaal is the name of an 800-year-old Trill symbiont who holds the latest clue to this season's mystery. We follow Discovery back to the Trill homeworld to tap into Jinaal's memory and find where another piece of the puzzle is hiding on Trill. As part of the away team, this trip allows Adira to reunite with Gray for the first time in several months to talk about their relationship. The rest of the team includes Dr. Culber, who absorbs Jinaal's consciousness as a guide for Captain Burnham and Cleveland Booker to pursue the progenitor artifact. Meanwhile, back in Discovery, First Officer Rayner reluctantly meets the rest of the crew in 20 words or less at a time, while frustrating Tilly. And we also continue to follow Ambassador Saru as he tries to balance his relationship with Trina and his responsibilities to the Federation. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot to pack into this episode, but I gotta say, my personal opinion, this felt like it's a step in the right direction. It felt like it was starting to get to more of a place where we're seeing more interaction with the rest of the crew. And we got Saru back, which is great, because I thought it was over last episode. That made me kind of sad.
Yeah, that was my biggest concern too. I was going to say, are we going to see Saru at all anymore? But they had a good balance of that for sure in this episode.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the episode more than the last two. I'm starting to like this build-up of the story, the hunt for the progenitors more. It's starting to feel like an old-fashioned race to the finish story, which, it kind of is. This has been the last season. Plus, I like that, the return to the planet Trill. It's something that we never really saw too much on Deep Space Nine, with the exception of the symbiote caves, which is pretty much all we saw when it appeared last in season 3.
Right.
But now we got to see a little bit more, not much, but a little bit more, adding to the mythology of the Trills.
Yeah. I thought the use of Trill was fantastic. I thought it was A bold move where they decided to go with Trill. How it seemed to become a little bit secluded from everybody else. It had pulled back from a lot of other worlds, it seemed like. And there's still this kind of air of protection, kind of like, making sure that they know who's coming down to the surface, beaming down to the surface, whatever you want to say. I think it opens up a lot more potential to use the Trill species, which I would love to see.
We all would.
Especially if they can, whether it's in the past or again in the future or whatever. They're doing a great job of cracking that open a little bit more.
Yep.
I do want to see the that opening shot where it went right into the ship. That was a fantastic shot, man.
Yeah,
that was impressive.
That was. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was really it was a clever use of the Trill spots.
Oh yeah, like the
fingerprints. I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah,
and I also liked the way the episode used Dr. Culber. I always thought he's a fascinating character. Some seasons we've got more of him than others. The fact that here he's got so much to do, and the way Wilson Cruz played the new personality, the Trill personality that was in him, just looked like he was having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah,
he plays it so much different than he does Dr. Culber. A lot more, energy, a lot more wisdom to the character. Which the character, it's already a fun character in the first place. It's always been one of the highlights of the series, watching him and his character develop. Plus, I like the scenes between Tilly and Rayner. I really enjoyed those. Tilly's just been one of those characters, another one that I've either liked her or hated her, wanted her off screen. Depending on her level or annoyance. But here, I thought I really liked her relationship, or how much she didn't like Rayner. And didn't like the way he seemed to be bullying the crew. But I think by the end of this episode, they both came out with a better new respect for one another, which, any growth to these characters, I'll appreciate.
Oh, yeah. One of the things I thought was really neat, too, is when they were in the bar and, he basically threw back at her. He knew who they were. Even though he got that little bit of time with them, he knew them. But then Tilly threw it back at him. It takes more than just that, to know who they are. You got to really get to know them. So I really like that relationship between the two of them in this episode, especially when Tilly just had enough and she just blew up to him. That took some guts right there to do that.
Yeah. I got to admit, as much as I like Tilly having the chance to, have fun as a character, I think Champagne Tilly that we were seeing in the past two episodes was one of the points where I was like, oh no, come on, use Tilly better. And then in this episode, it really came around. You see exactly why she belongs as the head of the future of Starfleet, or at least heavily involved in it by training new recruits. Her handling of that situation in the bar was picture perfect. The way that she told him off in 20 words for less.
I love that.
That was a great stop right there. To say you're being a big... That's 20.
That's 20.
That says it all. But yeah, she understands the use of interpersonal dynamics and what that means to a crew. And she, even when you see the scene where she's kind of goes off and sits with her friends, and you see, Rayner kind of reflect on that and say, not only can I see the benefit of maybe being more of that guy in the future, but probably finding another opportunity to recognize Tilly as a true leader, which is something I thought was great about the previous two episodes. So, I totally agree. There's some fantastic Tilly episodes, and I was sad to see her go, honestly, but glad she's back for this one, and glad she had the role that she did.
Yeah, it seemed like they were getting rid of some of the characters, but her and both Saru, which I liked his scenes. I still don't know where they're going with the character. I still have my theories, but he's still there. He's still playing a part in the storyline. So I'm glad he's there, because as we mentioned last episode, he's one of our favorite characters from the series.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. One of the things I liked about this episode, too, is I love an episode when it's edited really well, and the transitions this episode had when it was moving back and forth between different scenes. One of them in particular was the great camera transition when Saru was having the discussion, and then they moved to the planet with Burnham, Culbert, and Booker like walking. That transition between those two scenes was phenomenal.
Yeah,
It was.
Yeah.
That was good. I remember that.
Yeah. And I mean, to go back to your earlier point, Wayne, about Culber and Wilson Cruz's performance in this, fantastic.
Yep.
Like, he puts so much depth and careful thought into his character. It was great to see him be able to kind of cut loose a little bit and have some fun. But his kind of reflective moments when he's thinking about what he just went through and how he feels about that,
Right.
I thought that was great. I thought it was a great use.
Oh, I do too.
Very happy to see more of Wilson Cruz here.
Yep. I liked how Jinaal was testing them. You know, when he took him to the spot where that piece was at, but it really wasn't there.
Yeah.
And he was just testing them to see what they were going to do, and then how Booker and Burnham was able to get out of that. I thought that was all put together really well.
I do too.
Yeah, that was one of my a Burnham highlight for me. Saying like, I've got this background as a xenoanthropologist, so here's how I'm going to approach this. It was like, yes,
Yep.
more Burnham exercising those kind of scenes, not necessarily having to be in on the action. I understand that's a lot of fun, but I don't know. I just we talked about that last time a little bit, and I'm trying to quiet that kind of perception when I get into these episodes, because I don't want it to affect how I'm watching it or anything else like that. It did feel like this time when Burnham was part of the mission or leading the away mission, it felt like it made a little bit more sense in this situation, which was nice to see. Just some explanation behind that's fine, but yeah.
It felt like they were that the producers put more thought into this episode to make it more important, the story more important, rather than just saying, what would look cool this week. I really appreciate that, because that has been a problem for me with a lot of the new Trek, which it seems like just a lot of scenes that have been thrown together pulled out of a pool that hey, this looks cool, but this here we've got an actual development in the story and advancement, and I appreciate that.
And advancement for the characters. I thought there was some pretty good character development in this episode that we've kind of been missing. And, that felt warming to me.
Yes.
One of the things I really enjoyed, too, was at the end with the transitions between the crew members. When, Gray was giving that dialogue over top of all of that as we're moving back and forth I thought that was really, really well done in this episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Totally agree. I think some of the other kind of depth that we got from Book, and I'm always checking myself to say, like, is it Book or Booker? And I know that both are used, but I keep thinking of Firefly and Serenity, and I'm like, wait, am I having a shepherd book? Anyway, but the ability to communicate with animals, I thought that was used to great effect when it was working. I thought it was used to even better effect when it wasn't working. And there are some things like the Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, when it's one of those places where nothing seems to be working.
Right.
That, I think, is a great dramatic device. And to see that happening here was a little bit like, okay, now you can't depend on the, snap your fingers and grow a phaser kind of technology, or the, Nightcrawler transporter tech that they have right now, which I thought was used in a clever way during the action sequences, but was also, I still don't see how that happens. You don't have people just like teleporting into a rock face. I'm sure the tech doesn't make it happen, but we were recently talking about this. Like, I don't know how that happens without a team, but yeah.
No, it's another example of, they didn't explain it. You're just supposed to accept it.
Right, exactly. I also noticed a non-franchise Easter egg, Dave, with the Lethal Weapon 1, 2, 3 sequence, where they were like, okay, is it on 3? Like 1, 2, 3? Or like 1, 2, 3, go?
Then go.
I was like, oh my God, that's Lethal Weapon 2.
That was really weird. And she pulled it on him again too when she had to pull that out of his leg.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Jerk.
Yep.
To call out special effects again, I know we've been talking about that a lot, already, but those creatures were freaking fantastic.
Oh, very
Yeah.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they were shooting out of them, oh man, that was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a great effect. It had almost like an arrowhead with an octopus tied to it or something
Yeah.
like that. Like it would stick into the thing and then squirm a little bit and then phase out. I don't know.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the visual effects this season have really been impressive. I mean, the visual effects have always been impressive on Discovery, but it seems like the lesser amount of episodes, they're only even doing 10 rather than 13. They may have been able to move a lot of that money to the FX budget, and it really was if they did.
Yeah.
I want to say one more thing about the 20 words or less sequence.
Okay.
It was a great way to bring more of the cast in.
It was.
And let more of those characters shine, even though it's kind of a it's a odd challenge, and probably doesn't get you to learn about people as much as you should. But characters like Linus, I appreciate the character of Linus a lot. Sometimes it hits better than others, but and Jet Reno. I think the responses in that sequence. Part of the reason that Reno is one of my favorite characters on Discovery. Not necessarily in every episode, but the introduction of Reno and a lot of the dialogue, the way Stamets is taken down a few pegs, and I think that's going to be a good foil for Rayner too, and somebody who can kind of meet Rayner where he is with his approach. So.
Yep.
So now that we've given our opinions on the episode, let's take a look at the characters themselves. Which character do you think shines the most this week, David?
We've already talked about it, but it's Dr. Culber. He got to have Jinaal with him, inside of him, and experience something that not many people get to experience. And he got to explore a lot more emotions and have fun with that, more so than we have seen with that character. And then even how he was able to reflect upon that at the end, the scene with him and Burnham. I thought a way that all wrapped together was really well done. So I have to go with Dr. Culber on this one.
For me, it's what we had talked about a little bit before, Tilly's entire kind of mini arc with Rayner. Shows a lot of range there. There was a lot of diplomatic reserve or kind of deep breaths. Reminded me of I forget what the name of the episode was, but in Next Generation we covered one where Worf had to escort around a diplomat, and no, we didn't talk about that one. So there's one of the episodes where they had 3 different people that were interacting with Picard to learn more about love. One that interacted with Troy to learn more about pursuing things that you know what I'm talking about, like the chocolates and all this other kind of stuff. And then there was one that was like antagonizing Worf to no end, and it felt like Tilly was kind of channeling that energy a little bit in this one. Just like, I'm gonna help this guy, but I'm not gonna like it. And the way that it was resolved wasn't like, we sit at a bar, we talk about this, and now we're chums, everything's gonna be fine. It was more like, no, we talked about it, you see where I'm coming from, I see where you're coming from, but if you want to be part of this crew, just know that you have to grow a little bit. And walks away just giving them a chance. It was nice to know that they're not going to just wrap things up in a tight little bow.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to have to go with David's choice as well. I chose Dr. Culber, even though he's not really Dr. Culber for most of the episode. He's Jinaal. But like I said before, it really looks like Wilson Cruz was having the time of his life in the episode, and he was given some of the best lines, the best story parts this week. He's just one of the characters on Discovery that the writers at times tend to shove in the background. Has like 1 or 2 lines per episode sometimes. So it was really nice this week to see him not only play a bigger part, but an important part in moving the story forward.
Yeah.
And the line when he stood up, he goes, "Man, this guy really works. That must work out."
Yeah.
That's a little bit of Wilson Cruz being like, "Yep, All right. I
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
Exactly.
I guess if you're 800 years old and you're suddenly thrown into a younger body, you'd think that too.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is true.
exactly.
Well, if you had any choice to be any character that appeared in this episode, which one would it be and why? Scott, I'll have you start this one.
So for this one, I'd say Paul Stamets, who I've got to say, I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing how Stamets has changed and
Yes.
the arc that's followed there. Like considering how he was in the beginning, very, very impersonal, and standoffish. There's a little bit of that there, but he's also grown a lot. And the reason that I would choose him for this episode is I just want to know more about what he discovered about progenitor technology. That scene finally gave me an idea for why we should care about progenitor tech.
Mhm.
It almost seems like it's the anti-prime directive, right?
Yeah.
As far
A
as you
little
can
bit
go
of-
and interfere with the development of life, the restriction of that, the design of that, resurrection, which I'm hoping isn't like a buried gun that they have to wrestle with whether or not to bring somebody back from the dead. But I think he had some great explanations there, some great exposition to kind of walk us through that. So I'd just be fascinated to be in the lab and see what kind of things they dug up.
Oh, yeah.
Dave, what about you?
I have to go with Tilly on this one. I want to give her the line back and say I can walk and chew gum at the same time too. Back to Rainer. But I just would like to be on her for just the fact that she was able to give that back to Rainer like that. I mean, the guy is an arrogant, you know what, and it was nice for somebody to stand her ground against him. Burnham has, but Burnham's different. Burnham's a captain, and she can do that. But to have somebody, like Tilly, to be able to hold her ground against somebody of that caliber, I loved that very, very much. And that is who I would have wanted to be for sure.
That's good.
What about you?
Well, I'm going to be up against you because I'm choosing Commander Raynor again.
Oh,
Just because I like his character. He's now the first officer on the Discovery. That's a cool position to be, in my opinion. I like the way that I like his personality, his rough personality. I find just something just kind of attractive. That's not the right word. Something interesting about the character, but it's a genius way of learning about some of the characters, and
it is.
And I was worried at first about this. He's coming in. It's a new character that's being introduced to Discovery right here at the end of the story. You always have to think, is this going to be Discovery's cousin Oliver? But I think he's going to be turning out to be a very interesting part of the story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good choice.
I can see there being a lot more interactions between Raynor and Tilly, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way that that I don't know first meeting with a lot of the crew was organized, where he was saying, "Look, I want to keep learning about this stuff. I'll fit in learning about the crew, but I can't keep going." That was an interesting way about it. To keep him working and just know what kind of a guy he is. It might not be the kind of person we've seen on Discovery so far and the person that we're used to, but I think it's good to change things up a little bit.
Yep.
All right, now comes my favorite part, when we dive deep into the episode and see if we can't pull out any Easter eggs. And there were a couple. We, again, got a mention of the Breen, which we've only ever seen behind masks on the later seasons of Deep Space Nine. So we still don't know what they look like. I think I have an idea that we may actually be seeing and getting an answer to that mystery this season here on Discovery. I believe one of our newer characters may possibly be a Breen. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens later on once he reappears.
I love that theory, by the way. I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
And I hope it's true.
I do too.
And another thing we did see during the negotiation scene with Saru and the other delegates, I believe that Cobra Head alien, that could be a Sele, which is an alien that we haven't seen for a long time. That appeared back on the Next Generation's very first season, episode Lonely Among Us. It certainly looked like one. I'm curious to see if anyone else thinks that as well.
Interesting.
Is that the thing that Q appeared as at one point?
No, no. Lonely Among Us was an episode where there were two delegations that were fighting the Sealays, which were like a cobra-like
Oh,
species,
that's
and then
right.
the Antikins. Yeah, they got their
Yeah.
own action figures, so it must have been a big episode. Yeah.
Yep.
See, merchandising.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Merchandising.
And another big thing that I really pulled from this episode is Jinaal mentions that the discovery of the progenitors technology happened during the Dominion War, which that was the main story for Deep Space Nine's final 4 seasons. But that means it happens sometime before the year 2375, which makes that roughly about 6 years after Captain Picard and the Enterprise learned of the progenitors and the episode The Chase. So we finally got some way of actually timing when a lot of this happened.
Yeah. Was it me, or was it weird to hear Picard's name come from Burnham?
It is.
It's just strange.
From someone who wasn't around when Picard was. She comes from like 70, 80 years before that, but she's done her homework, done her research.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we've seen the trailers for the upcoming episode and the rest of the season. Now that we have 3 episodes behind us, what do we think is going to happen next?
Well, I think the next episode is what? Face the Strange?
Yeah, that's the name of it.
What a weird name.
Yeah.
The one little clip that I saw had some kind of like little weird spider or something like that crawling around. I'm like, oh, okay, this looks like this is going to be creepy. Wayne's going to love this episode.
Yeah, I'm not sure
spiders.
about that episode. Yeah, I might have some strong opinions about that.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be one of those chaos on the ship
Yeah,
kind of
that's what it was.
moments
Yep.
where it's,
Mhm.
sabotaging various systems and all this other kind of stuff. So that could be a good way to draw in more of the crew that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Right? A lot more of the people that we've seen throughout the ship.
Mhm.
Giving everybody, their fair amount of time. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there.
Hopefully we'll get a little bit of a horror vibe with it, because that's kind of what I got with the scene that I watched.
What I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I got a feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be really cool.
It's going to have us all like, brushing our shoulders and
Yeah.
itching the whole time.
And on the season trailer, there were a few things that I noticed that were pointed out to me. I think we may be in for a surprise appearance from someone that we're very familiar with. Everybody, I won't reveal it yet, but go back and check that trailer and watch it. Be very, very vigilant and check it frame by frame. You might see something you recognize.
Is this what we talked about yesterday?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Go back and watch that trailer, because I didn't realize it either until you mentioned. I was like, oh, hey, look, it is.
Just don't blink.
Yes,
Look
don't
at
blink. Yeah. So I got a question for you guys. So we're talking about what we're going to see next, what we think is going to happen. I believe a lot of us have recently discovered that Starfleet Academy, a new series that's coming, is going to be during the time period of Discovery. Do you think, we don't know how this season is going to end with Discovery, but do you think that we may see Saru have some kind of involvement with it?
I do. I do. I don't expect this series or Discovery, the crew of the Discovery, to go back to their original time. I expect them to continue on in this time, and I expect Starfleet Academy to be the successor for the series.
Yeah.
Yep. I think it'll be interesting to see how characters like Saru, it seems pretty obvious then that Tilly may be involved, or at
Yeah.
least
I would
guest
think
star
so.
at points.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Dave, as you were talking through that, it just makes me think about the potential for Starfleet Academy and what it could be. Because now, usually we get kind of mission by mission. Occasionally you get to focus on engineering, you get to focus on medical, whatever.
Right.
But there's a lot more depth that we can go into. And when you think about, the different professors, the different callbacks that we might get from that, just the sheer number of students, I assume there's probably going to be a core cast of students. It might also be focusing on the professors. So a lot of interesting potential there. We'll see what happens.
And it doesn't surprise me that they're actually doing this series, because this isn't the first time they've tried to get a Starfleet Academy series started. I remember back just before the production of Star Trek VI, there was a lot of talk about the sixth Star Trek film being a Starfleet Academy film. I don't think it got any farther than a scripting stage, but they've tried it before. This doesn't surprise me at all that they're trying it again, and it could be interesting. I'm always on with any Star Trek series, any new one. I'm always going to wait and see how I like it. I'll be there. I'll watch it. It's Star
Absolutely.
Trek. I watch everything Star Trek.
Yep, same here.
What was the tech that they used for the Voyager Doctor?
Oh, that was the holographic emitters. They had. It was like a holodeck inside the. Are you talking about the little thing on his arm?
No, like the what he was called.
Oh, the emergency medical EMH, emergency medical holographic doctor.
Gotcha.
Impressive.
I'd be very interested to see if they use that technology to give us a Professor Boimler.
Oh, I like that.
That would be
Right?
really neat.
You could get anybody and just, transfer the AI, and then you've got, maybe a little bit of gray. But love to
Yeah.
see some lower deckers come back.
I think
would
that would
too.
make a lot of people happy. I'm sure people have seen on the internet there's quite an uprising about the
Yeah.
cancellation of lower decks. I'll admit I'm kind of upset. I love the series; it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's well done.
If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's a great series. So, my theory is that Paramount Plus has now put a cap on Star Trek series, 5 years. We got 5 years of Discovery. Now we've got 5 years of Lower Decks, and I expect Strange New Worlds will probably go 5 years. So that's probably the reason. Which in that case, it's not a cancellation; it's just an ending.
Right.
But I hope we do see the character. I hope it's not the end of those characters.
Agreed.
Well, and hopefully there's also a pattern we're seeing with like Section 31 developing, right? Spin-off movies or continuation movies. Absolutely keep those coming, especially
that
if
would
we
be
could see an
perfect.
animated movie for
Yeah.
Lower Decks. They always
so.
bring it with the animation quality and the production quality in that. Seen on a movie scale would be amazing.
That
would.
would be a perfect way of continuing it. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's it for this episode of Phasers Set to Stun's look at Discovery Season 5, Episode 3. We'd like to open a channel to our listeners and hear just what you thought about the most recent episode and the season in general. Who knows, you might even be mentioned on a future show. Of course, you can email us at afilmbypodcast@gmail.com. Find us online at afilmbypodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you're looking for more exclusive content or swag, you can join our Patreon and find out what exclusive gems are hidden within. Thank you, Scott and David, for joining me and the listeners for another fascinating episode.
Thanks.
Yep. Thanks, Wayne, for leading us through.
Yep.
And as we mentioned, next episode, we take a look at episode 4, titled Face the Strange. We're looking forward to returning to the 32nd century again next week on Phasers Set to Stun.